Family, what's good with you? It's your boy Milky Way J. Welcome back to another banger. And we got a special one. Shout out to my dog, Ja. Scrapper. It's Ja on PC, whatever you want to call him. He recommended this video. And I'm not going to lie, he just sent it to me to watch it. But me, the way I think, I'm like, let me turn this into content and let me watch this with y'all. We got One Piece. To all my One Piece fans, you can see down in the down in the title below, we are going to react to Ohara. Shout out to Ohara for making this huge compilation of for every One Piece theory he's made as of 9 months ago. This specific one is about devil fruits being alive. I'm not gonna lie, he has some banger points. Make sure y'all stay tuned for the video. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel if y'all are new and y'all enjoy the content. Let me know how y'all feeling about this. There's 14 hours worth of content here, so we can split this up. We can chop these up into 1 to 2 a video, depending on the length of it. If y'all down to rock with them, I am too. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Spread love to the people that mean most of y'all. Enough of me yapping. Let's get into the video. Y'all got to see this one. Let's get into it.
There are a lot of theories about One Piece. Crazy ones, funny ones, really scary ones, and a bunch that just have so much evidence around them that they just must turn out to be true. We're talking literal hours of theories, so I've put together this true behemoth of a video with every theory that I've covered on this channel, and so without further ado, please enjoy every One Piece theory ever.
Salute to you. Let's get into it. Hey, this means a lot to me. I love One Piece so much.
Devil fruits have a will of their own that can be inherited through the generations, which is exactly why the Gomu Gomu no Mi is so important. Now, same as you probably have been very focused on Haki for the past couple of years, which just makes sense. This may sound harsh, but devil fruits simply were not that interesting for a while, until Doflamingo revealed the next level. Awakening.
Right.
For the first time in a while, that really got me thinking, to the point where I was lying in bed at night, unable to...
Awakening. He's saying devil fruits are alive, so they're gonna wake up, and that's when, okay,
sleep. My
let's
analytical
cook.
brain shifting
Let's
into
cook.
overtime gear told me
Let's
that
cook.
there just had to be some clues in the story.
Right.
I simply had to know. So what did I do? Well, what any reasonable person would do at 4 a.m. in the morning. I got up, opened my laptop, and started working.
Right.
I was gonna analyze every type of fruit, every piece of lore, and every instance of awakening until a few hours later, I actually managed to complete this crazy puzzle of clues that connects Luffy, Roger, and Joy Boy. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Hi, my name is Manu, my favorite fruit is pineapple, and in this video I will pull back the curtain for you on the true nature of devil fruits, because the devil truly lies in the details here. The first thing I did, as I usually do with any theoretical analysis, was to establish the facts. What do we actually know? And even though you're probably familiar with all of this, it's gonna be critical for the juicy bit later on. And let's be real, there's definitely less fun things than learning some facts about devil fruits. Okay, so baseline is, these fruits seem to have been around for a long time and have become a regular part of the One Piece world. While they're considered quite rare and special, on the grand line that attracts only the strongest and weirdest people, they're found on a much more common basis. And if you try to eat more than one fruit, there are 3 types of devil fruits.
I'm starting to see where he's gonna go with this.
Pineapple, banana, and orange. Just checking if you're still paying attention. Zone fruits allow their users to transform into an animal, giving them access to their regular form, their animal form, as well as a hybrid form. Subcategories include ancient zones for animals that have gone extinct, like dinosaurs, mythical zones that include mythical creatures like the phoenix, as well as a separation into herbivore and carnivore types, boosting endurance and defense, or speed and offense respectively.
Right.
Next are Logia fruits. They're pretty easy to summarize. As you know, a Logia turns the body of its user into an element, for example, fire. Regular physical attacks are useless here. And this is little known, but Logia users can actually enhance their powers significantly by subscribing to my channel for next generation anime content.
He's not with that. He's not with that.
Fruits then are the dumping place for all powers that don't fit in the other two categories. And there are a ton of subcategories here. Some users can enhance their bodies. Luffy's enhancement is permanent, for instance. He's a rubber man. Mr. One can transform his body at will, while someone like Brook only gets the effect of his fruit through a certain event. In this case, death. Other users are able to produce a power. Some can produce materials like Doflamingo's string, others can produce a force of nature like Whitebeard.
This is a real good breakdown though
of
like the devil fruits,
such as Mondor or Brûlé. Lastly, there are people who I guess basically do magic. There's people like Sugar who can manipulate living things, people who have control over a certain space like Law and Corazon, and some even crazier powers like Big Mom's soul manipulation. In general, there are 4 known weaknesses to devil fruit powers. First, maybe most dangerous, is losing the ability to swim. If a user is submerged into water, they are drained of all energy and incapable of moving or using their powers. Which, in a world of pirates consisting to 99% of water, is a pretty damn big handicap. Simply throwing a glass of water at them won't work though. Probably. The next best thing though is Sea Prism Stone, which is mined in Wano and comes with its own set of mystery of how it's actually made and why it really works. The end result, however, is that this material has the same essence as the ocean, which is why it can be used to take out an ability user even on land and without throwing that glass of water at them. Third is Haki, more specifically armament Haki, or as it's called in French, Haki de l'armement. Mon Dieu! This can be used to forcibly turn a devil fruit user's body back into regular flesh and bones, no matter how it was transformed or shaped. And I never really thought about it for some reason, but isn't it really strange that Haki has this effect on devil fruits? Well, small tease here, this is gonna be one of the details in which the devil will be found later. Better put on some pants, devil. Fourth, and this will also play a role, there is one devil fruit out there that has the ability to absorb and nullify any other power. Blackbeard's Yami Yami no Mi that he calls the strongest Logia out there.
It might be. Hey, I'm not one to argue.
Finally,
he's snatching people's powers left and right. If you know, you know.
Devil fruits can actually be awakened. Basically, by mastering one's ability and being able to fully control it at will, the user starts to unlock a new level to his fruit that in some way or form enhances its power or reach. Zone users generally get access to a giant monster-like
it's like a phase 2 for Elden Ring boss, you feel me? A Souls boss.
Also lets them recover very quickly from even the most fatal attacks. Examples of this are the guards in Impel Down, as well as most likely Chopper's monster points. Now, while we haven't seen a Logia user officially awaken, it is pretty safe to assume that such a power permanently changes the environment around them. This is not only based on Doflamingo's explanation, but also on how the landscape on Punk Hazard was permanently changed after the battle between Aokiji and Akainu, as well as Raijin Island that suspiciously looks like someone went a bit cray-cray with Enel's fruit there as well.
I'm probably wrong.
Lastly, we have the wide range of Paramecia users. While producers like Dofi, Kid, and Katakuri are able to change their environment as well as their body in their awakened state, someone like Law seems to get additional abilities for his fruit, like creating shockwaves inside the opponent's body. And actually, I think there is a pretty good chance that Luffy's awakening has already happened. If you want me to talk about that as well, let me know. So now that I had established all that we knew about
Alright, we just gotta, I think we gotta say this video was released in July of 2024. So by this point, by May, we know a lot more about the the show. So I don't know what he's going to get into. As you can see, this is a 14-hour video. I'll be breaking this up into multiple videos if y'all rocking with it for sure. I want to get into each of these theories. Hopefully do a couple per video, depending on how long, maybe one per video, depending on how long each of them are. We're going to break them down accordingly. Let me quit yapping. Let's get into it.
2 cups of coffee.
Keep getting into it.
It was time to go clue hunting. Okay,
Right.
so there are a couple of things that got me wondering about the true nature of devil fruits and if there wasn't more to all of this. Without making it any more unnecessarily
Alessio, you're
dramatic,
gonna learn some stuff we edited in these videos. I'm not gonna lie to you.
In some weird way or form, alive.
Right.
While the idea of a sea devil residing in each fruit might have seemed like a casual sailor talk in early One Piece, Shanks turned out to be one of the most well-informed, connected, and powerful people in the story. And I've already talked in other videos a lot about how Shanks most likely was not simply chilling around in the East Blue, but actively following Roger's will to find the man he was waiting for. So my thesis statement is gonna be that this explanation by Shanks to Buggy on board of Roger's ship is literal. There resides a devil inside every fruit that is then transferred into the body of the person that consumes it and merges with their soul. Let me try and prove it to you.
Okay.
First of all, we have the incarnation of devil fruit powers. When a fruit user dies, his ability is shown to leave the body, like a soul, and travel to the nearest fruit of the same type. For example, Smiley's zone type fruit would always be an apple, which is why there can be a devil fruit encyclopedia in the first place that Blackbeard used to identify the Yami Yami no Mi. Imagine if it suddenly was a banana. The soul leaves the host and finds its next container. Once someone takes a bite of this new fruit, the devil enters the body and the rest of the fruit is useless. Well, except for vitamins, which are important. Basically, your soul and the soul of the devil merge. On Enies Lobby, Jabra explains to us that 2 devils would fight if you tried to consume a second devil fruit, killing the user in the process. The biggest evidence that devil fruits have a will of their own, however, in my opinion, are Funk Freed, Smiley, and the second goodest boy in One Piece, Lasso.
Okay.
To the best character in all of media, and that character is Whitebeard's dog. Whitebeard's dog.
All 3 of them are objects, a sword, a gas weapon, and a gun that have gained consciousness, free will, and the ability to turn into an animal. The only explanation really is that the soul contained in the devil fruit is transferred into the object. Pretty much the successful version of what Caesar tried to do with the Smiles. These objects now understand human speech and even have a will of their own, as is shown in this scene here. And if they actually have their own will, that also gives us an answer as to why devil fruits have their respective weaknesses. If the Sea Devil grants these powers, he could just absorb them back once you sink into him. His will is stronger than yours and that of your smaller devil. Similarly, Haki is able to overcome a fruit not because it overcomes the will of the owner, but of the devil fruit itself. Otherwise, every time someone tried to use Haki on another user, they would be stuck in limbo, fighting it out for a while before they could actually forcibly change their bodies back. As for Blackbeard, if his devil fruit truly is the strongest devil fruit, and I have to admit the darkness fruit seems like the most devilish one out there, that would mean that the devil in his fruit is stronger than any other devil and that it nullifies their abilities in the very same way. Awakening a devil fruit then could be a quite literal phrase. When you're underwater, your devil is asleep. In your everyday state, the devil is in something of a dream state, sharing their abilities, but when you awaken, the full potential of the devil is unleashed. With the awakening, the devil part of your soul would of course become stronger, which is exactly what we see in the prison guards in Impel Down. They're much more animal than human, just as with Chopper, who has to train hard to get control over this state as well. People like Doflamingo and Katakuri clearly have control over it, but nonetheless, all the awakened fruits we know of cause incredible destruction to their surroundings and are really hard to keep in check. You're literally fighting with the devil over control.
Nah, he on his own.
And they also require an enormous amount of energy. And seeing how Kid and Law struggle with it, Conqueror's Haki might well play a role and be an advantage in dealing with this state. Doflamingo and Katakuri, after all, both were able to use their awakening quite creatively and really bend the rules of their normal powers. But what comes
Those were like the first real villains that we've seen in, well, really characters that we've seen in One Piece have their awakening and like have the most control over their awakening, I would say.
next is what you probably have been waiting for.
And the
it will
two of the
hopefully
longest
really
fights. Oh
blow
my
your
God.
mind. Okay, so I'm gonna tell
Watching those fights on a week-to-week basis is so dreadful. I remember with Katakuri, I was in freshman year of college, bro. Oh my God. Me and my homeboys, we was watching it. We would call each other after every episode. And it felt like we was in this fight for months. Dead
you that
ass.
the devil's soul not only merges with your own, it also takes on some of your properties. In other words, devil fruits are used to inherit someone's will. Let me get you through this. The best example case here is Ace and his Mera Mera no Mi. Sabo mentions that they have to get back his fruit so that they can inherit that person's will.
Oh. Nah, he's making some good points, like opening my eyes with some stuff.
Capturing him, tells Luffy that Burgess will take the fruit and it'll be as if Ace had joined himself. However, it could be that they're just talking about his legacy.
Right.
But when Sabo eats the fruit and blows away Burgess, he says this really strange line.
Ace is saying he won't forgive you.
And even more strangely, I found that Sabo started.
So the spirit of the past devil fruit user, or past plural, still alive in the devil fruit?
Acting like Ace. Even the way he says goodbye was the same as Ace did on Alabasta. And just a bit later, Sabo goes off on his own at Marijoa and potentially gets captured, just like Ace. But you might rightfully say that might just be because him and Ace were really close.
Right.
Well, here is exhibit number 2, Big Mom and Mother Caramel. We do know for a fact that Lin Lin was an extremely kind and caring kid that at times lost control trying to do good things.
Right.
However, after consuming Mother Caramel's fruit, she starts turning evil and took on many of Caramel's traits. She starts calling herself Big Mom, has the same devilish smile and lipstick, and while Mother Caramel was using the orphans for her benefit, Big Mom uses her own children for hers. The same is true for the weapons that consume fruits. They all take on certain personalities. And a really interesting example is actually Khalifa. She was introduced as this incredibly serious woman, but once she ate her devil fruit, she started doing things like this. Similarly, Blackbeard suddenly wants to be called Admiral after eating his fruit. And 2 other really interesting people in this category are actually Bartolomeo and Mr. 2. Both of them, as we know, are very kind and gentle people at heart, but while Mr. 2 joined Crocodile's dark scheme to overthrow an entire country, Bartolomeo is known to be very cruel to those outside the Straw Hats.
Right.
Do you also ever find that a bit strange? Well, now that we know that both of these fruits belong to the Kurozumi clan, if they had inherited their cruel and scheming ways, that would make sense, right? But the real mind blow to me was applying this to Luffy. For some strange reason, the Gomu Gomu no Mi turned out to be way more important than we actually thought.
Right.
It was stolen
Definitely.
and protected by Shanks, who got into a conflict with the world government about it. I've always hated the idea that Roger had ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi as well. But looking at it through this lens, what if he had and Luffy literally took on some of Roger's personality traits? As you know, so many characters have drawn
He said he was gonna make the connection.
Parallels between Luffy and Roger, down to Luffy saying the exact same thing as the first Pirate King.
イーストブルーにロジャー船長と同じことを言うガキがいたんだ。船長のあの言葉。
Luffy's reaction at his execution in Loketown? Roger. Luffy's reason to look for the One Piece? Roger. And it's only after Luffy eats the Gomu Gomu no Mi that he declares his dream to become Pirate King for the very first time to Shanks, upon which he then receives Roger's old hat.
お前に預ける。
Wait. If that were true, shouldn't we already know that Roger has had the same fruit
Right,
as
right,
Luffy?
right,
That
right,
should
right.
be
I was gonna
common
let you
knowledge
say
after
that.
all. But what if it was actually Joy Boy's fruit? Now, this is admittedly speculation, but what if Roger found this fruit on Laugh Tale, consumed it, inherited Joy Boy's will, and then died a little later without most people ever knowing? For his execution, as we know, knives and blades still work on Luffy. So wouldn't it make a lot of sense that this was the true reason this fruit was special? Not because it had some secret rubber power, but because it has Joy Boy's and Roger's inherited will in it. And remember Roger's last words to Rayleigh.
俺は死なねえぜ、相棒。
He literally remembers them after meeting Luffy. This theory is based on a lot of analysis, but if you want something even bigger...
All right, based on time, we're just gonna wrap that one up for that video because I don't want these to be too long. I want these to be very watchable for y'all. I'm not gonna lie. We are gonna lock in with you. We locked in. I'm subscribing. I'm liking the video already off of that one video. Because I'm not gonna lie, if you have more theories like that, you got 14 hours worth of One Piece theories, I'm down to sit here and listen to them. I've been craving some more One Piece content. I'm addicted to the conspiracy theories now, especially for the shows that I love, and One Piece is one of them. So I'm down to lock in if y'all are. Show me by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel if y'all are new. We are on the road to 1,000 subs. I appreciate y'all again for 500. Let's get to 1,000. How quick can we do that? Can we get to 1,000? My birthday is July 1st. July 1st, y'all. Can we get to 1,000 by July 1st? Let's do that. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next one. It's your boy Milky Way J, and I'm out of here.